Welcome. You're listening to the Louie Minor Show. I'm your host, Commissioner Louie Minor. Today is March 18th, 2023. We have a lot of interesting things to cover. Let's get started with the agenda for March 20th, 2023. The first item on the agenda is the invocation. The next is the Pledge of Allegiance. On the consent agenda that we have approval of the minutes from March 13th, 2023, meeting of the Commissioners Court, personnel budget amendments and claims, accounts payable, payroll, restitution, and jury pay. We also have on the consent agenda, consider authorizing the purchase of a storage solution through the Purchasing Cooperative Sourcewell under contract number 010920-SPC with the Southwest Solutions Group at a cost not to exceed $253,267.01 for the museum storage building. This quote includes a $33,838.51 credit for the reuse of the existing museum shelving in the overall storage solution. Then we have 4, receive the 2022 annual report from the Bell County Historical Commission. Consider the appointment to the Bell County Child Welfare Board. We have county engineer item in accordance with the Texas Transportation Code, section 251.058. Consider and approve a resolution to abandon 1670 Lane located in Bell County, Precinct 2. Consider item B, consider and approve a final plat of the Sam Hall Edition, being a 10.07 acre lot 2 or 2 lot 1 block subdivision located within the City of Temple ETJ, Bell County Precinct 3. Item C, consider and approve a final plat of the Walker Ridge Phase 3, being an 11.016 acres, 4 lot, 1 block subdivision located in Bell County Precinct 3. Consider the item 7, consider the demolition of the Confederate statue. Recess to conduct business as County of Bell Employee Benefits Trust. Item 8, consider authorizing funding of the Bell County Employee Medical, Pharmaceutical, and Dental Benefits Insurance for FY 2024 as follows. Healthcare and pharmaceutical groups in the amount of $7,867 per employee annually, within the county contributing $7,749, and the employee will contribute $118 annually. The total annual estimated cost of the premium to be paid by the county of $9,750,076 based on 1,063 enrollees. The dental group benefit in the amount of $235 per employee annually, with a total annual estimated cost of premiums paid by the county of $275,796 based upon 1,175 enrollments. Then this authorizes an appropriation is conditioned upon recommendation and action taken by the Bell County Employee Benefits Trust, awarding the group health, pharmaceutical, and dental plans to Scott and White Health Plan and Emeritus Dental. Upon said action by the Bell County Employee Benefits Trust, the county auditor is authorized to transfer funds from the Bell County General Fund to the County of Bell Employee Benefits Trust account as needed to fund premiums as presented by the above named insurance carriers. Then we have county, judge, and commissioner's announcements. That's everything for the agenda, the regular agenda. Now for the workshop. In the morning workshop, we just have received various updates from county offices and departments. Get an update on the jail expansion, Salado Annex and Museum Archives Building, Killeen Annex and District Court facilities, then CIP projects. Item C, Don Owens, Chief of the Juvenile Probation Officer, Don Owens, Chief Juvenile Probation Officer, to discuss shift differential and stipends for staff. Then in the afternoon workshop, we have discussed the Expo naming rights contract changes and updates. Discuss item B, discuss updating rules and procedures, conduct and decorum for the Commissioners Court. Discuss establishing a process for the Commissioners Court's appointment to board and committees. Discuss establishing a community and economic development program. And then discuss a proposal from the State Veterans Land Board relating to the Central Texas State Veterans Cemetery. And that is everything for the Commissioners Court meeting and workshop for March 20th, 2023. So there's been a lot of things going on in the news, nationally, in the state, and local. So I guess let's kind of work that way down to local. I guess nationally, the biggest things going on are the pressures in the banking system. We had the Silicon Valley Bank. They had a bank run. The bank went under conservatorship from the FDIC, and all of the shareholders lost their money. And Silicon Valley Bank is the go-to bank for startups in the tech field. It's based out in California. And so there was a lot of issues with, are they going to be able to make payroll, etc. But the federal government, the Federal Reserve, said that all depositors will be made whole. And so that was that. Now regional banks are starting to feel pressure, and I'm assuming it has to do with, I'm no economist, but I'm assuming it has to do with the interest rates on government bonds and their diversification. So we'll continue to see how that will unfold. There's a lot of unease financially and across the world. But we will see how things can continue to move forward with that. Also, the news breaking this morning is the former President Donald Trump posted on his social media that he's expecting to be indicted and arrested on Tuesday, the 21st. And he's calling on his supporters to protest. That is stemming from hush payments that he made back in 2016 to the porn star Stormy Daniels. And I guess we'll just have to see the case and hold judgment. It does sound like he's been guilty of that for quite some time. But I'm pretty sure, they were talking about his arrest photo. That'll be the big thing, I guess, his mugshot, so to speak, coming up. But as we get closer and closer to the election, the 2024 election, you're going to start seeing a lot of competition. There's already a lot of competition on the Republican side for presidential nominee, with Trump being the front runner. And we'll see how this indictment will help or hurt him. I think it's been proven time and time again that when things like this happen to the former president, he has a strengthening effect within his base. So I would anticipate something like that, a strengthening effect within his base. Now that's still far out from the primaries next year, so a lot could happen in between then. But I think an immediate bump in his approval from the Republican base is expected, at least from my vantage point. So, staying on the topic of Trump, the Texas Tribune is reporting that on Wednesday, this Wednesday, the day after Trump is supposed to be indicted, that the former President Donald Trump's first 2024 campaign rally will be in Waco. And so, yeah, that'll be interesting. It's supposed to be at, let me click on this real quick. It's supposed to be at the Waco Regional Airport. So, let's see how many people go out there to attend that for an indicted felon running for president. A lot of things happening here in the state level, state news. The TEA, the Texas Education Administration, announced that they are taking over the Houston Independent School District, the largest school district in the state, obviously. And this came up because of low test scores in a lot of the schools back in 2017. But to my understanding, the most recent grading for the Houston Independent School District showed it at a 90% approval ratings. So why is the TEA doing this now? Maybe it has something to do with all the school choice, the school voucher programs, that the governor needs it to fit into a narrative that schools are failing and parents need choices. I think that has something to do with it. It has nothing to do with the schools. It's improving. It's been improving. And now you're taking elected officials, the school board, trustees. There's no one local that's going to be held accountable for the students and residents of the Houston Independent School District. It's all going to be consolidated in Austin. It can be consolidated with state officials appointed by the governor. So this is going to be in your hand, Governor Abbott, on the success and failure of Houston ISD now that you took this over. But definitely it's not unprecedented for the Texas Education Agency to take over a school. They've done it a couple of times, but never on a school district this size. My understanding that they will be removing all trustees, the elected officials, and removing the superintendent of that school district as well. So more to come on that. We will definitely see this unfold, and hopefully the students will not be affected, or if they are affected, it's for the better. That's all we can hope for now at this time. Other news that has Texas in the news for national implications is there is a challenge to the FDA approval of an abortion drug. This lawsuit, I started hearing about it maybe a couple of weeks ago on the news, but it has national implications that if this federal judge out in Amarillo, a Trump appointed judge who, before being appointed in 2019, the judge worked at an anti-abortion firm as a deputy general counsel for a place called First Liberty, a religious liberty law firm in Plano. So that's his background in the anti-abortion arena. It is said that the plaintiff that brought this case before this judge went judge shopping to see where they could get the most favorable decision. And so there's been a lot of interest in that case. They heard all the arguments from both sides, the plaintiff and the FDA. The FDA is against this. This ruling would be made against the FDA wishes by banning this abortion drug that's been around since the 70s. And so, yeah, we'll see how that goes. Also in local / Texas / national news that we're getting, there was another death on Fort Hood of a female soldier that brought immediate reminders of Vanessa Guillen. That was the soldier that was murdered on Fort Hood in a supply area by another soldier. And the military immediately said, and still says, that there's no foul play involved. But the family of Private Ana Basaldua Ruiz is saying that she was sexually harassed and had a lot of bullying in her unit towards her. Fort Hood officials confirmed Wednesday night the Monday death of the 20-year-old combat engineer who served with the 1st Cavalry Division for 15 months. The family told Telemundo that the daughter was found dead inside a maintenance bay at Fort Hood. And the Post told them that they were initially being investigated as a suicide. Fort Hood's most recent update did not specify the nature of the death or where she died. Parents also told Telemundo that Private Ruiz was no longer comfortable and that she was being sexually harassed. So on Friday, LULAC, the League of United Latin American Citizens, held a press conference out at the entrance to Fort Hood, calling for the FBI to come and investigate. They had a representation for National LULAC, state LULAC and local LULAC in support of the family and the military there. So let's hope that this is not the case, a repeat of the Vanessa Guillen. Let's hope that the military has made positive changes since then, and that every soldier can go to work and be safe. So now let's switch gears to some local news. On Tuesday, the Tuesday Killeen City Council meeting, the police department, Chief Kimball, will be giving the long-awaited update on the implementation of the Proposition 8 ordinance. And we have the slides that will be presented and talked about. So let's go over these slides. Keep in mind that Proposition A was voted overwhelmingly, almost 70%, by the city of Killeen residents and enacted by city council. The citizens wanted this. Council voted this in. This is a city ordinance on the books that states that you will not be ticketed, you will not be arrested if you have 4 ounces and below of marijuana. So let's see what the Killeen Police Department has been doing. The first slide, let's see, marijuana enforcement gives a pie chart, and it says suspects contacted in relation to marijuana from 11/9/2023 to 2/8/2023. I'm assuming that's a typo. I would imagine it should be 11/9/2022 to 2/28/23. But anyways, so it says of that, 188 suspects from 165 marijuana-related incidents. Asterisk. It has 146 were released and 42 were not. And I'm surprised they don't go into a breakdown of age, race, gender, none of that. So that's something that I will bring up. Why did they exclude that? So that's the first slide. The second slide, marijuana charges. It has an asterisk. 2 individuals were arrested for possession of marijuana under 2 ounces predating the ordinance and had additional marijuana, causing there to be 44 marijuana charges. So there's a pie chart once again, has gray, possession of marijuana under 2 ounces, 34 charges. Then it has blue, possession of marijuana over 4 ounces. That would be a felony. That's 7 charges. And then we have possession of marijuana 2 to 4 ounces, 3 people. That would be a Class A. Once again, there is no data on age, race, gender, or even time. I would like to see time of incident so we can have a good idea of what's going on. Maybe even location. You know, what is going on in the city. These are bad reports. And Yeah, I'm going to point that out. What a horrible job the Killeen Police Department is giving. If this is the report that they're going to give, that they had months to put this together, yeah, shame on them. That this is not information at all. Okay, let's go to the next slide. It says multiple offenses versus marijuana only. Gives no explanation, no anything. What are these other charges? Are they seatbelt? Are they what are they? But it says 12 marijuana only charges and 32 multiple offenses. My question to them is, why would there be any marijuana charges at all unless it's a felony? Because I think the voters were very clear on what they wanted. All right, next slide. Marijuana only arrest and reason. So gives a pie chart. It gives, let's see, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 people only that were arrested for marijuana only. So we have one that was in a drug-free zone. I'm assuming that's a school. Then we have one that says suspected edible. And then we have one suspect in felony. Let's see. Then we got one, no guidance during beginning of Prop A. I guess they arrested someone. Then we have five, drug warrant, pre-ordinance, one search warrant, and one over 4 ounces, which would be a felony, not a misdemeanor. Okay, and this is the final slide for the presentation that the Killeen Police Department is going to give to City Council and the public at large. Has other offenses. Chart shows 49 additional charges for 32 marijuana arrests. So 14 of them assault, 10 of them warrant, 5 other drugs, 15 unlawful carrying of a weapon, and then 14 other charges. Once again, there is no statistical data on this, which they have to collect. They normally do collect this. They normally provide it in any type of open records request that I've asked for. They had it readily available. So, I mean, how many is too many? How many is enough? It definitely does not seem like City Council, or I'm sorry, like Killeen Police Department is following this. There shouldn't be any arrests for marijuana possession. If there's other charges related, then yeah, charge them with that. But marijuana should not be one of them. That's what we voted on. That's what the voters decided. So, yeah, a lot of questions that we'll have for the chief of police, for city council. I definitely want to say something. I'm a citizen of Killeen. I am a supporter of Proposition A. And yeah, I have some questions that I want to ask. And I hope that they answer those questions. Typically, in things like this, they won't. Hopefully, city council members will ask some good, hard questions. And then we'll go from there. So I guess finally, I'll just talk about a couple of things real quick. I'm sure some people wonder, what does a commissioner do? And, I'm still learning. I'm still learning. I ask a lot of questions during the meetings because I'm assuming if I don't know, the public probably does not know. So I want to know these questions. Uh, I'm not afraid to ask a question. I definitely do not know it all. I'm learning. And so outside of the commissioner's court meeting, let's just take for the last 2 weeks, I'm looking over my calendar. Had a meeting at the Bell County Juvenile Justice Center off of Rancier and Killeen. I toured that facility. There's not a lot of juvenile facilities in the state. So we have one of them in Bell County. We house some outside counties juveniles here, but that building is 30 years old. That's why the director wanted me to tour it. It's definitely in need of some repair. Maybe even it's aged out of that. I don't know exactly how old the building is, but the county bought it and adapted the building. It was not originally intended to be a juvenile center. So I toured that facility. It definitely needs a lot of attention. I've reached out to Dr. Buckley, our state representative, and hopefully we can get some state money, since we have a robust surplus here in the state, allocated to that facility. So I also met with the Killeen KPD chief. I had some issues going on there where the county is involved. Those issues are still being worked out, but so it's a lot of different areas that a commissioner will interact with other officials here and there. Also had a meeting with the Road and Bridge Department to start planning for the 2024 budget year. The county is getting the budget together for next year, and I've drove on just about every road in Precinct 4. Precinct 4 has the most paved roads, but there are still some gravel roads that need improvements. Figuring out the process for attaining right-of-ways and the best way to prioritize what roads need to be improved for that future growth. I've also been getting emails from constituents on road issues throughout the county. Some of them are inside the city limits, so I have to let them know that that's a city issue, and I give that to that city council member to address. But in areas that are not inside the city, obviously working with those constituents, addressing their needs, making sure that they have a good understanding and a point of contact. Some of the issues we cannot fix, and it's a legal issue, and they have to attain attorneys. And it's okay to let them know, hey, this isn't an issue the county can handle for you. That has to be done on a civil level. Usually it's border disputes, easement disputes, property line disputes with individuals, and that's something the county doesn't need to be in. But I've also met with multiple developers that are working on active subdivisions that are out in the county, and making sure that their needs are met too. They're adding residents, they're adding infrastructure to the county that the county is going to have. Well, we don't have to, but we'll be voting on if we're going to assume those roads and those responsibilities. So having a good working relationship with developers that are working definitely inside the precinct, but inside the county as well. Also, last week, I attended the Bell County Sheriff's Department annual award banquet. I attended it last year. I was a candidate last year. Stacy Wilson went with me at the invitation of the sheriff. So this time I attended, obviously as commissioner. And one thing that I'm all for supporting our employees, recognizing all the hard work that they do. But I don't know. I've given awards before in the military, and you definitely spread the wealth. The sheriff's department is the largest department in the county, in county government. There's a lot of employees there, but there were several employees that got multiple awards, and I'm sure, obviously, they were deserving of it. They were put in for it. But for me, I just think that was a lost opportunity to acknowledge all the hard work that other employees do as well. If someone was already on the list to get an award, there's a hierarchy of awards, and I just thought that was a little odd. I wouldn't have been a proponent of doing that, but that's the sheriff's thing. I was there just to support and listen and just let that know that the sheriff's department that I used to work there a long time ago, like I mentioned before, as a jailer, so I understand what they're up against, what they do on a day-to-day basis. I'm sure it's only more complex now because at the time we only had two little jails side by side. Now there's going to be multiple minimum security, a jail add-on, a diversion center. So yeah, they definitely have a more complex and robust jail than whenever I was there. So let's see, another, always have on my agenda for the week too, any city council meetings that are happening. I am making it a point to attend as many as I can in my timeline. I definitely don't want to burn myself out, but there's Temple, Belton, Harker Heights, Salado, Troy. I want to attend all of these just so they know that who I am, have a face-to-face, and be able to provide them with my contact information. Also, some of the other things, just like I said, meeting with developers, meeting with other elected officials, trying to, whenever they have issues inside their department where the commissioners may need to make a decision on that. So I've been talking with other elected officials, and there's issues with some of the fire districts. I am no expert in fire, so leaning on some of the other commissioners that have that knowledge base, just from either being a volunteer firefighter. I believe Commissioner Whitson is a volunteer firefighter, but you also have just the institutional knowledge from the other two commissioners that have been there for several years now, several terms. Just leaning on their knowledge on ways to attack that. And there's also going to be a in the east side of the county, there have been multiple solar farms there. So Commissioner Schumann, I believe he's the only one, to my knowledge, that has any dealings with that. I believe all the solar farms have been in his area, but not for long. I can't mention any specifics, but there's a pending up and coming solar farm that's going to be coming to Precinct 4. So that's something that I'm going to have to work through, get real smart on, and see what I needed to do as a commissioner to address the needs and concerns of both the pending applicant and then the residents that I guess will be against it. I've sat on a couple of commissioners' meetings, and there tend to be people that are against solar farms coming in. They have a bunch of issues with, I guess, environmental issues being close to them. So yeah, it's going to be a learning experience, but that's what I signed up for. And definitely next week I plan on having, we'll start wrapping this up, but next week what I want to do is I want to try and start interviewing some of our candidates for Killeen City Council. The reason why I'm going to focus on Killeen City Council is because Precinct 4 is mainly Killeen, and I'll probably reach out to a few of the Harker Heights and see if they're willing to, share their thoughts. But getting that information out, we have those elections coming up. And speaking of election, that's another thing I've been working with. We have to pick some new election locations at the county level. So making sure that whichever ones we choose, that they're ADA compliant and they're in a convenient location for the residents of the county. So yeah, a lot of work. But back to the elections. We have elections coming up in May, city elections. So making sure that we as a county have everything in place for those, and prepping for November. I'm assuming there's probably going to be some constitutional items in the November election, and then right beginning of next year we'll have primaries to start worrying about. So a lot of work to do, little time to do it, but I want to thank you for listening. If you're available, come to the Commissioners Court meeting. It is on Monday at 9 a.m, and workshop is in the afternoon at 1:30. If you're not available to come in, tune in online at 9 o'clock in the morning. You can watch it live. The videos are archived, so you can watch them afterwards. And then on Tuesday, if you have been following the Proposition A saga, I advise you to come into Killeen City Council on Tuesday at 5 o'clock and listen to what they have to say there. So with all that said, hope you have a great week, and we are out of here.